It's time to take a ride on the Steelers Afternoon Drive with our co-hosts Aaron Saunders and Zachary Smith.
Welcome back to another episode of Steelers Afternoon Drive. I'm Zachary Smith. That's Aaron Saunders. Aaron, how we doing?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
I'm 30 now, so I feel like a lot of people just want to write me off at this point. If I was in the NFL, my career's over. So, I'm doing okay. I did pull a back muscle yet again. Like, I tweeted about this. If pulling a back muscle was an Olympic sport, I'm Simone Biles because I'm
that good.
Very good at doing it. Yes. Basically, anytime that I bend down to pick up a weight, it's happening. So, but anyways, that's going to play into one of our topics. Not my back, but the age thing.
Maybe inability to stay healthy will come into this conversation.
Okay. All right. Very fair point. But I do want to give a shout out to a couple people before we really get rolling here. I always ask, want to know where people are watching or listening to the show from. Jay Johnson watching every day from Birmingham, Alabama. And then, so the name is IMJATSE6189. I'm not sure if it's like Imja or if it's even supposed to be a name or what exactly is going on there. But thanks for the show, guys. Love from Passau, Germany. We got Germany in the building, Alan.
Man, I have all 50 states, but we got a few countries now.
And one of those is like a world traveler. Like I think they're trying to knock out all the countries for us in one fell swoop.
Right. We have had audience members in all 50 states and 150 countries, but it was just that one guy.
Exactly. He heard me saying that I'm trying to check all these boxes, and he's like, you know what? I'll do it for you. But anyway, big talking point today, Alan. Jaire Alexander signing with the Baltimore Ravens. There was some discussion about the Pittsburgh Steelers being in the mix, although, we've talked about it before. The fit really didn't make a ton of sense. And I wondered if the rumor, if you will, was largely drummed up because of previous interest going back to, prior to free agency and the team signing Darius Slay and some connections being drawn because of that. How realistic was it to happen now? I didn't think very. I didn't think that was a very good fit. Now for Baltimore, where one of their top two corners in Marlon Humphrey is a really good slot player, has a ton of experience there. I think you could argue that he's better in that role than playing on the outside. And they needed another guy on the outside. Obviously, Lamar Jackson, very close relationship with him, college roommates, everything like that. I think Baltimore did make a ton of sense for Alexander. That's ultimately where he lands. What do we make of that fit before we dive into, the Steelers side of this?
Oh, it's a great move for the Ravens. They got a big upgraded outside corner for $6 million. Not even all of it guaranteed. $4 million plus of incentives. Mm-hmm. And given his injury history, decent job protecting themselves. Like a great move for the Baltimore Ravens. They definitely got better. And that's the first thing. But I don't think the Steelers should care other than that. That to me, this was not a player that the Steelers, I don't believe, were that interested in at this point, and I don't think they should have been either.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in agreement. I think it'd be a different conversation if we felt like Alexander could play the slot, or if, Darius Slay was going to play the slot, Joey Porter, somebody on the roster was already going to be in that role. Like I said, the Ravens having Marlon Humphrey for that role, but needing an outside corner. I think that's why it made a ton of sense. But I'm in agreement. The Steelers side of this should just be, okay, this is a talented player that if healthy, we're going to have to go against twice a year, not necessarily that he was a fit for their football team. The Steel, I guess you can make the argument any of the other teams should have been interested for, he would be willing to come for depth purposes or whatever like that. But in terms of an immediate need and a team that could offer him a chance to win and a starting job on the outside, hard pressed to find a better landing spot than Baltimore. Clearly he wanted to be there. Adam Schefter reported that he turned down other offers, more lucrative offers to go play in Baltimore, again, with a college teammate and roommate of his going back to his time at Louisville and Lamar Jackson. So, if healthy,
yeah, I mean, $6 million for a backup cornerback would have been a great deal for the Steelers. I'm sure they would have done that. But why would he want to do that? Would he have helped the Steelers' depth after the two starters? Yeah, absolutely. But I don't see what that would have provided him. Also, he's not a very good scheme fit for the Steelers right now. I mean, if you look at what he did in Green Bay last year, man coverage was rough. So first of all, like that makes the slot not a great proposition. Second of all, like what they want to be able to do more stuff with this secondary. That's why they went out and got Slay, who's been in a defense that does a little bit of everything. The last 2 years, they were pretty limited by what they could do with Patrick Peterson and Dante Jackson scheme-wise. The ideal was to go get a player who is not scheme-limited. Jaire Alexander is that. Is he better than Joey Porter Jr. when he's healthy right now? Probably. But, is it a big enough upgrade to just throw away a guy who was like a second-round pick and, supposedly a big part of the future of this team? I don't see that as being worth it. Not in a season where, as we've talked about, it's not like the Steelers are a slight upgrade at corner away from the Super Bowl. Who cares? Just if Joey doesn't develop the way we think he can, go get Jaire Alexander next year. I don't. Right. There's no reason for the Steelers to be actively pursuing a corner who can't play on the inside. None. It just doesn't. And I don't even think Corey Trice is a bad backup. Sure, everybody can always use depth, but not shaking in my boots if Corey Trice has to play a few games this year.
And, well, just like we talked about the health thing with Alexander, that's been a big thing for Trice as well, and probably worth acknowledging when talking about him.
Echols. If Echols is your fourth corner, I don't know, that's not bad. I don't.
Actually, I would put corner to bring up later.
There's a half a dozen positions they could upgrade before corner that I would say are more outside corner that I would say are more pressing needs.
And I'm glad you said what you did about Porter, because I was going to bring that up kind of if you didn't, his progression, figuring out for sure what he is going to be and him taking a step forward is one of the most important things that's going to happen this upcoming season. On a personal level, obviously, as he tries to earn a second contract, but obviously for the team too, in their trajectory and deciding kind of what their needs are going into next season. Probably need one corner regardless, but imagine if he completely falls off this year or whatever happens, he doesn't progress in the way that you think he's going to. I don't think he's going to be on the roster in 26 regardless, but it's going to change the way that you view him both short-term and long-term, depending on what the season looks like for him.
Yeah, and that's way more important than being a little bit better if Jaire Alexander is healthy. I do think of the two players they were rumored to be talking about or whatever, I don't actually believe that they had any serious discussions about signing Alexander. There was some interest earlier this offseason before they signed Slay. I don't think that was something that seriously came up now. I do think there's at least been a conversation about Jalen Ramsey. They've been talking to the Dolphins a good bit. We know they've had multiple conversations about Jonnu Smith. For whatever reason, the Dolphins have sort of resigned themselves to trading Jalen Ramsey. I'm not really sure why. So
I actually thought they were going to be the team to sign Alexander because of that. Because if you look at the rest of that corner,
it would have made a lot of sense. Their corner depth is atrocious. Gosh. So, I mean, that one, at least because he has played the slot a good bit, you can at least envision it working. I think, he's just a very expensive option for an upgrade over Beanie Bishop in the slot. And again, not young. Is that the move?
I saw somebody throw out an interesting idea in regards to Jalen Ramsey. This year playing in the slot, and you had $21 million player in the slot is certainly. It'd be interesting to see them go from pretty much making no investment to that type of investment. Maybe a bit of an overcorrection there. But
and why would
could he take over?
Again, why would he? I mean, I understand this is a trade, but it sure seems like he's the one that's driving the bus on this trade. Why would he want to come to Pittsburgh and be a slot corner?
So the thing that I saw, somebody throw out there was that's his role for this year, but then Darius Slay probably going to hang him up after this season. Does he go back to the outside if he is part of the long-term plans, or even like, and this is further down the road, but say Jalen Ramsey does make this a home and it's a really great fit. He seems like certainly a guy that's going to make that transition from corner to safety later in his career, just because of what his skill set is and the way that like the things that he's really good at translate to that position, as you know, you do see maybe some of the foot speed start to go.
I guess. I don't know, but like, that's 44, somewhere around the neighborhood of like $45 million for 2 years, and only one of them is going to be starting at outside corner. I don't know. I would just sign Asante Samuel. It's just not that hard. Like, I mean, heck, Mike Hilton's still out there. Go get Mike Hilton. If you just want to upgrade on Beanie, and you don't trust Beanie, although I think very similarly to the conversation about Porter, I'm kind of fine with just seeing what Beanie's got. I thought he had a really good rookie year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely thought that it was, I don't know if malpractice is the right word, but I think it was definitely a misstep, the handling of it down the stretch with the snaps.
I agree.
You know,
I understand why they did it.
Yeah. Oh, that's what I was about to say.
But I don't. It looks bad now, though, for sure.
Yeah.
I bet if they had to do it over again, they would not do it that way again. Right?
I would hope not. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So, yeah.
You mentioned Asante in there. Not just the Steelers, but like, unless I've missed something, I don't even think he's like gone to visit other teams.
No, I don't think he's healthy yet.
Right. Well, the reason I was going to bring that up is like Gabe Davis, who's not healthy, has visited with at least 4 teams though, and it's just like, hey, we're going to stay in touch. What do you think the reason is that isn't taking place with another player who's maybe not 100% yet?
That's tough to speculate on. My guess would be that Asante, like the difference is, Gabe Davis is trying to play through this. Like you can't play through a neck injury. Either you're cleared or you're not. You know,
yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Like you can get by at less than 100% on a knee. Now it doesn't seem like anyone's biting on less than 100% Gabe Davis, but at least it's plausible to play. You just can't play if you're not cleared back from neck surgery.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. That makes sense. But what's interesting like about this stretch, right? You briefly mentioned Slay within there, but we were mentioning a lot of other names like Joey Porter Jr., somebody being an upgrade on Beanie. You mentioned even like Brandin Echols and Corey Trice being good depth, but really like the conversation that was taking place today was about Slay, which I think is super interesting because, you know, obviously he's been much more available than Alexander over the last few years. He's played at a higher level than Alexander, even when both are healthy. This seems to me like the people who have an issue, it's literally just about age. Like it's an overcorrection on age, in my opinion, and projecting that for whatever reason, he's going to be far worse at 34 than he was at 33. And I don't want to say it's, you know, apples to apples here. Seems very similar to the conversation about Cam Hayward last year for a lot of these people.
Same conversation we're having a lot with TJ Watt. I don't know how many times they're going to have to be wrong to learn. And it's not like Jalen Ramsey is young. Like, I don't understand, like, how there are Steelers fans that, like, if you just don't know anything about football, but you just, like, root for your team, I guess, whatever. But, like, then why would you have a strong opinion about any of it? Go watch the Eagles tape last year. Darius Slay was their best defensive back. He was like a top 10 outside corner in the entire NFL. If he plays as good as he did last year, he will be the best Steelers corner since Rod Woodson.
Ooh, I was waiting to see if that was the name that you said there. Yeah.
Okay. He's 34. We should not expect him to play as good as he did last year. I fully acknowledge that. But last year, he was ridiculously good. And I mean, sure, I don't think he will be as good, but I don't see any reason to predict him to fall off a cliff either. He's also been very healthy. I mean, Jaire Alexander can't stay on the field. What difference does it make if he's 28 if he can't play? Like, 34 and on the field is better than 28 and in the tub every time. I don't understand. Like, people are so underrating the Darius Slay signing the Steelers are lock solid at outside corner 1-2, and I think they're pretty darn good at 3-4. And just to be clear, the 1 is Slay and the 2 is Porter. He's a lot better. I think Joey Porter can get there, but that guy was really freaking good last year. I don't know. I somehow people seem to have missed that.
Darius Slay, who is very accomplished, obviously, even prior to last season, at 33 years old, allowed career best completion percentage, career best yards allowed, career best yards per attempt, career best 20-plus yard completions, career best first downs allowed, career best pass breakup rate, and allowed 5 receiving yards in the Super Bowl.
I think maybe that's not enough for some people. He also rescued a kitten. He donated all of his old cleats to charity. I don't know. He also seems to be a great guy. Everybody loves him. Not that that matters, but compare it to Aaron Rodgers, where I understand that a lot of the people that didn't want the Steelers to sign Aaron Rodgers just don't like Aaron Rodgers. I've never heard of anybody not liking Darius Slay. So I really don't understand where all this is coming from. He's really good. I don't know what the if he plays 80% of what he played last year, I'd be trying to get him to sign up again and play at 35. I don't.
Well, that's when you get 30 and above, especially for corners. I think every year people are just waiting for that to happen, where a guy falls off. I think you consider him a bit of a unicorn based off the fact that he's played at this level beyond 30. I mean, say what you will about the Pro Bowl, but I think it can at least be part of the conversation. I mentioned the numbers anyway, so not just Pro Bowls, but he's a Pro Bowl corner at 31, 32 years old.
Very similar to the Cam Hayward discussion, and it's I do not expect to see a unicorn fly by me here in Sharpsburg today. But if I do see a unicorn flying up the Allegheny River, my next thought is not going to be, I bet it's going to stop flying right now. We all know that horses can't fly. Once you've seen the unicorn, you should believe it exists. There it is. It's happening in front of your face. I acknowledge that it doesn't happen very often, but it is happening. The aging curve is one of the most difficult things to predict in all of sports. It is very, very different from athlete to athlete. But when you already have a player who's proven the ability to play on the high side of the aging curve, there isn't any reason to think they're going to just fall back to the mean. That's flawed logic.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's why I use the word overcorrection, is because it really seems like a lot of people would rather, bank on a 28-year-old who has not played in 20 games, miraculously at 29 playing in more games than the 34-year-old who's missed very little time just because of age. What is that?
Younger and worse is not better. Younger and worse is not better. It's just not.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, sure. Okay, let me rephrase that, because there is a time when younger and worse is better, is if it's a young player you're trying to develop and you have hopes that will get there. But Jaire Alexander isn't developing. Jalen Ramsey isn't developing. If the Steelers had, a couple of Joey Porters on their team, then that'd be one thing. The other options are not young developing players. They're just slightly younger and not as good.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's super interesting. I think don't get me wrong. I think you have to have it be part of the equation for the reason that you said. At 34, it's reasonable, using that word again that we've talked about a lot on here, to expect he's not going to be as good as he was at the age of 33. But at the same time, I don't know how you feel more comfortable about a guy that's 28 and hasn't done that, hasn't stayed healthy, just because they're younger. I don't know.
And honestly, wasn't that good last year when he was healthy compared to declining and hurt. Slay had his best year at 35. Jaire Alexander was he fell off.
It's time to take a ride on the Steelers.
At the top of his game, and Alexander significantly reduced. To me, there's, and obviously you don't want to play Alexander over Porter. It doesn't make any sense for the Steelers to have been interesting. None. Nor would it have made any sense for him to want to come here.
Yeah. For anybody watching or listening, by the way, we're kind of fighting through some technical stuff without under a storm, and I hope you enjoyed the second little bit of a dose that you got from the intro that started to play there for whatever reason, because we had to pause and resume, and I guess it had the intro preloaded. But anyways, obviously fully in agreement there in terms of Jaire Alexander just not being a good fit. Like, that's the other thing too, and I mentioned this, like, even when healthy, I feel like Alexander really hasn't been that dude since the Steelers' new starting quarterback was the starting quarterback for the Green Bay Packers. Like, I haven't seen Alexander play at that level in a couple of seasons, even when healthy. So, I mean, it's a great bet for the Ravens to make. $4 million could be $6 million. If the Steelers could have gotten that player for $6 million and figured out a roller, but like it would not have made immediate schematic sense for them to do so. Don't get me wrong, I wouldn't have complained about it if he would have signed this contract to become a Steeler, but he wasn't going to, and it wouldn't have made sense. So we'll leave it at that. You mentioned Brandin Echols, though, in terms of the depth options there. We actually got a question about him from Frio J here. He's included in the question. He's a part of it. What's up, guys? Haven't heard much talk about the likes of Brandin Echols, Kenny Gainwell, or Ekuale. What did you see from them at OTAs, if anything? Thanks in advance.
Yeah, Gainwell, I think people are really underrating how big of an impact he's going to have on this team this year. I think he's a really strong third down option. I know that Jalen Warren already does some of that, but I think he's going to be really, really good. Ekuale is just going to be that sort of I don't think you're going to notice a big drop off from Larry Ogunjobi to Daniel Ekuale when he plays. Obviously, the hope is Derek Harmon will be a better player, but I think you're backfilling the depth just fine with him, and it gives you that kind of rookie insurance where if things don't go well, if there's struggle for Derek Harmon, I think you have a guy who you can play and not worry about. I think he is versatile enough to play a little nose tackle also. The Steelers have had some success with that, with sort of bigger bodied, less explosive three techs. Tyson Lulu, Kimo von Oelhoffen. Yeah, they're all Polynesian too. I don't know. Maybe that's the thing there.
That's a secret.
I don't know. Yeah, just get a bunch of old Polynesian three techs and turn them into nose tackles. I think, they started YA Black outside, but he never played. Everybody kind of projected him to be a nose tackle at the NFL level, but he never played any nose tackle in college. So I think learning 3 and 5 for him first will be a little bit easier, and then maybe they will add nose tackle to that. But I think Ekuale will be the backup nose tackle at first, just going into training camp anyway. But I think he'll play a lot. And Echols, I'm a little disappointed that we didn't get to see Brandin Echols in the slot. I thought that when they signed him, they would use him to push Beanie Bishop. And I know I talked to people on the Jets who always thought he would be better in the slot. And for whatever reason, they were just never able to make that. They actually tried it last year, and he did line up in the slot and practice a whole bunch. But the only times he ever played was when somebody got hurt on the outside and he had to go play outside corner. I think Brandin Echols has the tools to be a good slot corner, and I would like to see it. I'm a little disappointed that we didn't yet. On the outside, he's a little bit undersized. He's going to get clubbed like a baby seal when he goes up against DK Metcalf. The rest of the guys, I think he can cover just fine. But that's the only guy the Steelers have as we talk about the offense. In terms of testing an outside receiver, that's the only one. The rest of them are all inside guys sort of miscast right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see for sure in regards to Echols. But yeah, that's actually the I guess the first time that we've really touched on the fact that he was, or no, you mentioned that he wasn't playing in the slot prior. I think maybe when I brought up Sebastian Castor and the fact that he wasn't doing anything in the slot either. So that's kind of been a limited battle up to this point, at least. Do you see that changing during training camp? Do you think more guys will get involved in that battle?
I would assume, but so far it's just been Beanie and Dante Kent.
Yeah.
I would like to see Castro get involved. They didn't do a lot of dime, so maybe when they open up that dime corner role, some of that'll happen, because then theoretically you have 2 of them on the field. I'd like to see Juan Thornhill in the slot a little bit just to see it.
Yeah.
Didn't see a lot of that heavy nickel. So, I mean, all that's coming. Obviously, no positions have been won yet, but I would like to. But it's not going to matter that Brandin Echols didn't play slot corner at OTAs if he does at training camp. But I hope that they don't intend to just make him an outside guy, because I think that would be a missed opportunity.
And you said something there. It put a question in my mind regarding obviously Ekuale and Harmon's development and how that's going to go. A lot of people made it a pretty big thing when they came out and named Derek Harmon a starter. Do you think that people are maybe doing a little bit too much with that information because of how often they play in base, or do you think that there's actually something to be said there about what his role is going to be early on?
Yeah, I mean, look, he's going to start in base defense. They don't play that much base. In fact, against the New York Jets, they probably won't play any. So, will he play over Keanu Benton in nickel and dime? That's a real question that I don't think we have an answer to yet.
Okay. Yeah, that's basically what I was
getting at. And it's impossible to answer because Cam Hayward would have to be taking every rep for us to know what the answer to that is. And he was well below that, as he should be at his age and level of experience.
Absolutely. We got to get to this one because G. Alexander sent us $10 here. We appreciate that. Said Smitty and Big Al. Love the show. Watch daily in Richmond, Virginia. Why does everyone act like this didn't happen? He can't do the same or better further removed from injury. Aaron Rodgers passer rating 90.5 with 3,897 passing yards, 28 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. Josh Allen passer rating 101.4, 3,731 yards, 28 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Patrick Mahomes passer rating 93.5, 3,928 yards, 26 touchdowns, 11 interceptions last year for Patrick Mahomes. I guess I didn't realize that, but yeah.
I mean, I think this is just illustrating the problem with comparing rate stats to counting stats. Like, Aaron Rodgers threw the ball a whole bunch. That's why he has a lot of yards compared to guys who played on more balanced teams. Oh, and also, by the way, two guys who contribute a heck of a lot, especially in terms of Allen. Josh Allen's contribution to the Bills, ignoring his legs, is significantly lessened, right? So I think, and the one rate stat you have there, which is passer rating, Rodgers falls far, far behind. That should tell you the story. He is nowhere near as good as those players, or was not anywhere near as good as those players last year. I don't want to say it's impossible for him to be that good, but piling up stats inefficient. This is the same argument as why Najee Harris was not good despite having 4 straight 1,000-yard years. There are a lot of running backs that can get to 1,000 yards if you give them that many carries. A lot more than actually get to 1,000 yards. He was advantaged by
it's less than 60 yards per game, so it's more impressive from a durability standpoint, I think, than anything else when you see a guy get to 1,000 yards.
Yeah, it's sure the durability is impressive, but in terms of how much he was helping his team win the game, 3.8 yards per carry wasn't doing much for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What I will say to kind of, thread the needle on this comment here, though, is I think there's also a large portion of people that think that Aaron played way worse than he did last year. I'm not saying that he was some world beater or anything like that, but I don't think he completely fell off a cliff to the point where he was unplayable or should have been unplayable either. I think he is an average starting quarterback at this point in his career, and it's also a fine line, going back to the conversation we had at the beginning. Kind of hard to figure out what reasonable expectation is, because yes, he is another year removed from an injury, but he's also another year older. So what is that? What should that expectation be?
Yeah. The expectation should be he won't be as good as he was last year overall. But I think if you put him in a different scheme, you make him throw less, I think he could be more efficient and probably not reach those same passing totals, but help the Steelers win more.
Yeah. I mentioned the 11 picks for Mahomes being a little bit of an outlier. You look at Aaron, who has not turned the football over much in his career. Him having 11 picks last year was also a bit of an outlier. And the inaccuracy issues at the beginning of the year, where I felt like that wasn't necessarily the case in that last 6 or so weeks. I'm so curious as to what he is going to look like physically. Again, the clips that come out this time of year that we've seen, they're encouraging in terms of a little bit of mobility that he's showing on these bootlegs, and certainly the zip still looks like it's there on the ball. But what's it going to look like on a Sunday is the biggest question, and we're not going to have that answer for a while.
Yeah. I mean, look, I don't think Aaron Rodgers is going to be an all-pro. He's probably not even going to be a top 10 quarterback. But the Steelers have proven that they don't need that to be pretty good. And I do think he can be better than what they've had the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 19th in EPA last year, and that was, again, with, I don't know, the last month and a half basically being really the only good stretch of football that he had. So I don't know if he does that again this year. I think that's reasonable expectation when you consider, yes, he is a year older, so there should be somewhat of a drop off there, but I don't think he's going to be this season, 2025. I don't think he'll be as bad as he was first half of 2024.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, when I'm saying I don't think he'll be as good as he was last year, I'm talking about when he was healthy at the end of the season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, good stuff. Appreciate the question and the $10 there, G. Please keep keep the questions coming. If the money accompanies it, great. But that by no means do you feel like it's necessary to do so. Be sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and Alan, as always, tell the people they can find you.
A Saunders _PGH on X, Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky. PGH Steelers Now sites account SteelersNow.com. Go there, read the word so I can get paid. Sign up for SN Plus subs only live stream. Me, Smitty, DB, Thursday 6 p.m. You got to be a subscriber to check it out, and we want you to. We had a lot of fun the last two. Really excited to be doing that again with a lot of new information coming out of minicamp. So should be fun.
The number, by the way, for the subscribers here on YouTube is 15,900. And can you think of? I'm having trouble thinking of a 39 that's not Minkah Fitzpatrick or Willie Parker.
That's a tough one. It's not a good number.
No. And I think that we had this before because I recall us having the same conversation. Yeah, I really don't know. There's got to be some other running back or something that wore it, right? Or a defensive back that wasn't very good. Let me see. I got to look it up. So I'm cheating here.
Was Robert Golden 39 for a little bit?
He is not listed.
He was
here.
41. I know. I feel
like there was another.
Webb. Oh, B.W. Webb.
Terrell Watson. Darren Perry, 92-98.
Yeah, that was the one I used the last time we did it. I used Darren Perry and you used Willie Parker. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, that makes sense because him and Minkah were the only two I would have thought of here without looking at this list. Oh, not a great history of the number 39 in Steelers. Rick Moser, 78-82.
I mean, three really good players: Darren Perry, Willie Parker, and Minkah Fitzpatrick. But nobody else.
Bobby Walden, 68-77. I'm looking at players that at least wore it for a period of time here. But anyways, if for whatever reason you got a number 39 that is near and dear to your heart and Steelers lore, please drop it down below. Like I said, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. If you're listening somewhere else, Apple, Spotify, wherever your podcast from, be sure to leave a 5-star review and subscribe over there. Just search Steelers Afternoon Drive. Do the same thing over on TikTok, and then you'll find me everywhere. Zachary Smith, PGH, for Aaron Saunders and myself. Thanks for jumping in. Take another ride on Steelers Afternoon Drive.